Welcome back for game number 2 between Vikings? Yeah, Vikings. That's the name. And Team Wales. We have a 1-0 advantage for Vikings. It didn't even... last week we had 40-minute games, after 40-minute games, maybe a 50-minute game. And this time it was not even 30, so maybe we're in for a little bit of a shorter one today. Welcome back, Rebel and Clockwork. I want to talk about the draft again, because you two brought up the strategy of maybe a little bit of engage lacking for the side, especially of the less coordinated team on the side of Wales. So let's look at this draft, because the Smolden Italy composition, we talked about it on in-game, but it's actually very different from what they tried to do last time they played against Vikings. They drafted. I'm just going to tell you the compositions, because they're all very similar. Nar, Sinjao, LeBlanc, Varys, Nautilus. Every single champion has engage. Next game, almost the same with Vi and Milio. Okay, Milio not the greatest engager, but Vi, another huge engage tool. And then the last game, they had another Vi pick. They had a Rakan and a Renekton. So a lot of CC, a lot of very easy engage tools. But then again, they still lost those games in 30 minutes. So it didn't really work out for them there. Rebel, you look like you want to say something.
yo, wait, this was like months ago, though. The meta has
no,
drastically.
This is last week.
No, it had to be months ago, right? That had to be drastically, like it had to be, right? There's no way that somebody would flip all 5 champions of their draft in less than a week on the same patch, right?
I mean, it makes sense. When you get stomped 3-0, you kind of have to change something. So now they changed everything, apart from the Nar maybe, and it still didn't work. So what can they do?
You take this one, Clockwork.
They tried against Team Secret, and it did work. Something like that has some engage, like the Shinzao and the Nautilus, and at the same time, disengage stuff, like the Karma. Hasmed has played the Karma, and it did work. Now, I don't know how reliable it is, because it's like very niche pick, but they could try to engineer something that just... What is it? What was the Death Balls 5v5? Didn't work. So they tried to do a little bit of that at some point where they realized that they were behind, and they tried to dive B, I think, in the middle tower, but then they couldn't exit the situation and they lost the game. So maybe if they could pair with Disengage some other tools to, set up the fights and the ends of the fights, maybe that could start working better. I don't think going for side lane plays it's going to work out, because there's like Kati can always match in the side lane. He knows by now how to react to that, and Vikings have shown that there's a very good understanding of map movements, and they cannot be outmapped by Wales. So keep it to fights, but set them up in a different way.
Yeah, I want to touch on another thing, and that is the priority to deny some certain champions from Vikings, because this is something Gam showed over and over again last week, and 2 champions come to mind in particular. One of them is Ezreal, and the other is Zyra. We saw the same happen here. Zyra was banned on red side, which makes sense, because they first picked Zyra every opportunity they could, and Guri's Zyra is really strong, but they left open the Ezreal, and 4 out of the 5 games, Ezreal was actually picked by Gam in the best of 5 they played against Vikings, and in the 5th game, Ezreal was completely ignored, weirdly enough, but this is, I think, one of the key champions here. Ezreal for Shogun is almost unbeaten, so I think going into draft number 2, I want to see some change about this Ezreal pick.
Yeah, it's got high power.
Rebel.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you go
I'm
ahead.
gonna echo Rebel that at the end of the last match said that Shogun was never threatened, and yeah, that's the Ezreal in a nutshell. If you don't provide enough of a threat or engineer these like ganks and team fights, he just plays PvE.
Let's see what they actually do in the draft, because we are into draft number 2.
Right.
And one of the biggest things, there is actually, I don't know if you know this, there's a massive hole in the drafting strategy of Vikings. I'm going to see if the 2 of you can figure out what band that they're missing. But the Ezreal was really nice in the last game, and in these games without super high engage, it's the most valuable champion in the game because you can't stick to it, but also it just does damage freely. How many times did you see Artemis get chunked by half his health bar by taking a single WQ combo, or a quarter of his health bar from just taking a Q from Shogun over the course of the game? You know how frustrating it is if you don't have any sort of sustain to just take a quarter of your health bar out of nowhere? They actually messed up their draft even worse this time on the side of Vikings if you see what bans they're missing here.
Yeah, the Varus is another characteristic Artemis pick. Wales have always been doing that they just immediately, as soon as the start begins, they just put Artemis on comfort. This is going to work again. This also provides some tool of disengage with Varus ultimate, so there is some of what I was mentioning, and the Xin Zhao and the Orianna also match that. Both their ultimates
time
can be used to
traveling.
disengage.
Yeah.
I am liking what Wales are doing, provided that it's still very off meta.
Yeah, I think we're time traveling here with Varus, Orianna, Xin Zhao. I think we're back to like 2017 or something. I have no idea. Rebel, please, I want the answers.
Yeah.
What champions are you referring to?
Okay, do you remember what they banned last game on the side of Vikings?
Viego, Vi, and Rumble, I think.
That's right. They're the Vikings, and they banned Viego and Vi, but they forgot to ban Victor last game, the only other VI champion in the game. So Victor was the obvious choice this game to try to put, somebody on. But, boo, yeah, boo yourself. Does anyone actually play? Here's a question for the two of you, because I get kind of some of these things in passing. Has anyone ever tried the Locket Varus top lane? I know it sounds like something ridiculous, but like at this point, I'd rather see something nonsensical and fun than something that's gonna just get absolutely blown out of the water here.
Sounds like something Team Mad Lions' top laner would have done, maybe. I know he played some top lane Mervyn. I think he played some top lane Varus, but I'm not sure about the build. But yeah, hopefully. I mean, Hasmid is definitely good for some top lane Varus. He is the AD carry player who doesn't like to play AD carry. He likes to play AD carries, but in top lane. So maybe this is a top lane Varus. Could be.
May I point out one thing? Now, we pointed out before that Ezreal played the PvE, and now that they have the Wales have Varus, Orianna, and Xin Zhao, whoever is gonna touch the Ziggs, like Shogun, is going to have another very free game. He's never gonna see an enemy in his screen.
Here's a wild concept. What if you built Lethality Varus instead of building on-hit Varus? Wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't it be crazy if you're playing in a meta with only Siege Mages and really weak marksmen that never build armor, and you build only Lethality items on somebody who can burst for 1200 damage from your entire screen? Wouldn't that be crazy?
I think people really dislike the build right now, but yeah, maybe
I think it's like, it works! How are you supposed to do anything as Smolder or Ziggs when you take 1200 damage from an arrow an entire screen away?
I want to point out how insanely different Vikings draft is compared to the last one. This is nothing like what they played before. Okay,
I like
maybe.
Gwen.
Yeah, there's one champion that kind of resembles the last composition, which is Smolder, but everything else is so different. There's no Ethereal, there's no AP jungler, there's no split pushing top laner. What is happening? This is apparently the red side strategy is completely different.
Maybe, you go ahead.
Yeah, that's cool to see. It's kind of a statement because, as I said before, their drafts are usually very repetitive. They rely a lot on these comfort champions like the Corki, like Leona, and so on. But showing this level of adaptation and variation, even after a win, they're sending a message to GAM here. We can play more than that.
It's pretty cool. I was actually hoping for even more tankiness. It would have been crazy to go back to like 2015 OG like 2 carry or even 1 carry triple tank type play in the middle of like a crazy marksman meta, but we're not going to get that here. But yeah, it is quite a subversion from what we were expecting in terms of compositions on both sides, I would say. It's a bit of a return to their last series, which is kind of funny from Wales because it didn't work, but who knows? Maybe they can make it work this time.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the best shot in a while against the Vikings. Different composition, especially on the Viking side. I don't even care as much about the Wales side because I think if both teams play their best compositions, Vikings just wins 100% of the time. But maybe this isn't Vikings' best composition, and it does look like they have to fight a lot more. They can't get away with so many like sneaky rotation plays and then just getting objective after objective. They are going to have to team fight, so that's an opportunity for Wales. Clockwork. Do you think Wales has it? Can they break the 4-game losing streak in playoffs against Vikings?
I think this time they will. I like the composition. They followed one-to-one my advice, and I am a PhD, so that's going to work.
Sure. Surely the PhD knows what he's talking about. Rebel, do you agree?
I'm sorry, I missed his position because he was too busy.
You think Wales will win here?
I mean, Wales will win here? No,
Yeah.
I don't believe that. Sorry.
What a surprise. Okay, thank you very much, Clockwork. We're going to rely on your wisdom after the game, but now we're on to the Rift again, and this is an amazing chroma for this dragon skin.
Yeah, this is awesome.
I want that.
This is pretty cool. Okay. Well, now we get into game 2, I guess. That's pretty nice. We're going to see junglers run past each other as usual. Do we see this little of stuff anymore? I feel like we don't see... There's too many melee characters in this game. There's 6 melee champions? That's wild.
Did you just get 10 gold for fishing?
Yeah, you can gold
That's
now.
broken.
I think getting 10 gold is like super rare. Like inarguably super rare.
Okay, Nanoware.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, it's wild what you can do though. Yeah, 10 gold is crazy.
So, Smolder against Orianna. Sounds a little miserable for the side of Smolder, but I'm not entirely sure if that's true. I mean, he does play like an AD mage, right? He is essentially just a mage with AD, who people label as AD carry, but he's not really an AD carry. So maybe he's fine. I think range-wise and auto-tech trading should be in favor of Orianna most of the time, so let's see how Carti can deal with this.
Yeah, see, like, in lanes like this, typically, I thought you would go, like, Doran's Ring. I don't know if that was, like, really old-school tech on Smolder, but, like, I like it a lot more with, like, 2-3 points in E to start, or W to start with. Yeah, 2-3 points in W, so you have a bit more wave clear, a bit more poke against somebody. Because what stops Orianna from just standing on top of you? Like, if she walks past the wave and just says, you're not allowed to come here, like, what are you going to do? You don't beat her in an auto battle. You don't beat her when she's got 2 abilities. Like, a shield is going to make it impossible for you to trade at all. So, like, if I were Kadi, I'd be playing a bit more poke-oriented than anything else, but that depends on how Dove wants to play this, I guess.
I mean, looking at the mid lane position, it doesn't look like much is stopping her from dominating this one.
No. Yeah.
Also, we have to talk... We actually didn't touch on this at all. Hugsmith back on his once famous Gwen. We haven't seen it in ages, but Gwen is really bad into Jax, I mean. So now the counter pick came in from Nanoware. Let's see if you can actually do something on this counter pick. Jungle Clash with priority for the Braum, so Guri in a tough spot here.
Love that. Okay, can he smite steal? Who knows? B's here as well, so they could try to actually show guy. Everyone's here. I mean, we're just gonna make it happen. Okay, that's gonna be a CC train for the Sentry, though. Wow, lots of damage on Q. He's gonna be able to put the shield up and flash away. Who got the buff? I think Guri still got the buff too. So that was a fumbled early play from Wales.
High risk, medium reward play from Wales, and it goes horribly wrong. Now Sounder is quite low on HP. He does have the red buff to give him a little bit of regen back, and of course he's also Xin Zhao, so he just auto-attacks 3 times and he's fine. But in the end, still hugely unsuccessful invade. Guri now with an advantage in terms of experience, and it also reset the bot lane. So yeah, looks like Vikings just won on all fronts there.
Yeah, one of the biggest things, again, when you've got that much CC, actually, Housemed's doing okay. There's also Kadi is on, like, 10 health. I don't know what happened with Dove and Kadi in the mid lane, but double flashes were burnt, and I think we missed that. I hope we get a replay of that off screen. Top lane could still be, like, building to something as well. Both junglers were gone, and now Guri's back on the map to try to help support Nanoway. Housemed's outside the stun range. Yeah, you got to try to collapse the wave, but again, you're terrified. I'm waiting for Sejuani to just show up because I know it's going to happen any second now. Housemed basically has to try to get this and bounce as fast as possible, which is going to happen. Oh, no, I cast a curse to him. What have I done? What have I done?
Oh, Nanoway, a little bit risky. Nope, there it is. Can he get the cannon too? And he gets the cannon too.
I'm so sorry, Housemed. That was entirely my fault. Oh, I shouldn't have said anything. He would have walked away.
I think this is the first time I've cast a game of Nanowares where he's ahead early game, so this is a
Just
good
had to
start
keep
for him.
walking. Yeah, super rare. Again, he has the counter matchup. Last game, he sort of like Camille's not exactly a counter matchup, but it's supposed to be good into the Gnar because the laning phase is supposed to be decent. But this is a much more like definitive, like Jax is good into Gwen. There's not like much to say about it, and so it's a much more skill-intensive matchup for Hasmet here. So getting him ahead, super valuable. Guri sets him up for decent success. That's nice for the Vikings because that's another place on the map they don't really have to worry about.
Yeah, now Kati finally evolved his Q, so his wave clear is way better, putting some pressure onto Dove. Of course, also Guri waiting there behind him is going to put extra pressure on Dove's movement. A little bit of a support clash here, which, yeah, is very interesting to watch. So much damage being exchanged there.
It was funny. Hugh missed the Q, and immediately B's like, "You're getting punished for that, buddy." And dropped him 30 health or something like that. It's a complete waste of time for both of them.
Rel against Braum, there's not a lot of damage happening in that matchup, that's for sure.
It'd be cool if they did. Yeah, for how flashy Rel's moves are, it would be cool if you could have like a full AP build that actually did a bunch of chunk damage.
Oh my god.
Doesn't exist. Alright, well, Nanoe has like an insane push top side.
Yeah.
Your bot lane's up in top lane. Rift Herald should just be going to the way of the Vikings, assumably. Q's here. Did they fight it? I mean, did they?
Fury's not 6, but he might hit 6 after 2
Nanoe's here. Gwen's here too with
Gwen
level
6.
6. You gotta be terrified of what the Gwen can do here. You do not want to give her a bunch of gold. Okay, the last ultimate's going to miss. Stun's not going to come through quite yet either. Nanoe is going to be able to prevent that with the stun. Going to hit all 3.
Oh, he gets out of there.
Great play. Yeah, great play. Guri might not. There's a bit of slow. Oh, nice W coming through. Sound is going to be able to follow that one as well. And now actually there's a bit of fear for Nanoe. The wave is fortunately pushed out against him, and so you're not really that worried about that unless they want to like flash that wall, but Hasmet doesn't have it, so could stop him. There you go.
Oh, that is so annoying.
Yeah. Braum could just stay here and keep doing it if he wanted to. Yeah, Huber's gonna do it.
Oh my gosh.
Is that enough? Honestly, if I were Nana, I'd run at him, but then
this is
Nana
risky now.
obviously still here too.
Look at Sedrani.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're
this
both
could
coming
go
up.
horribly wrong.
Oh,
my
no,
God.
no! Why? He's a melee champion. Why are you running into the guy with a spread? And 2 kills go over to the husband wants it.
No, husband.
Please. Okay, he gets the ignite kill, but that's that. Oh no, your way. Why?
Cut the tape. Oh, it's a horror. Oh, they didn't count the seconds. You have early game. They're so quick back into the lane because of the added movement speed after respawning, and they completely forgot about that. And he's so hard to kill. You can't burst the Jax if you don't have mages. Ay.
Last game, you almost had me convinced this wasn't the VCS, and would you look at that? We're back to the VCS shenanigans. You can try to prim and proper, you can cut down on teams, you can do everything you want. There's nothing preventing you from making boneheaded plays. That's all the VCS is about sometimes. A dive onto Hosman now. It is immune sometimes though, so you got to be a little careful about this one. Nice ultimate. I think the
nice
W is
CC layering.
Great. Yeah. Guri's gonna hold tower aggro, but Hosman's still alive. Yeah, it took a minute there longer than they would have wanted. 2 members very low, but no response. So easy enough for the Vikings to walk away with that kill.
And I feel like they kind of they had to play around Nanoe in one of those games after abandoning him so many times. I mean, this first one is really good, right? It buys a lot of time. It gives Hasmet a
The second one I thought was funny too. I thought this was.
The second one is still kind of okay, honestly. But then now is where they overstep their welcome. My God, no! Think about the death timer.
Yeah, see, like, I don't hate the idea of it with Hugh, mostly because, like, if you're tracking the death timer and you cut that wave to start with, like, Gwen gets a collapse, gets a free back, and then is going to be out on the map faster, so if you want to go for, like, a dragon or something like that, like, she has much faster deploy to bottom lane that she can get back to top, but, like, it's just way over aggressive. I don't know who. I'm gonna take a wild shot in the dark and say Soundo was like, oh, we killed this guy, and like he was not paying attention, which is frustrating beyond comparison. Did get dragon, which is nice, but Vikings are up 2k at this point in the game.
Yeah, and that's a 4-1 Jax. That's not great.
Okay, but it's Nanoe's 4-1 Jax. I think there are more terrifying people that gold could be on. Maybe not champions, but definitely people.
That might be true. Let's see how he performs on the Jax. It was banned against him in one of the games for GAM, so they did respect him there. I don't really want to look at top lane at all, because I think this is going to be so miserable now from Hasmid. Look at the item discrepancy. There's almost a full Trinity Force against Boots. Oof.
Not ideal.
Yeah, it's not great.
Not ideal. Okay. Oh, that's 2 full plates from the combination of Void Grubs and Ziggs existing. So that's a pretty hefty chunk of gold that's going to be heading over to the Vikings bot lane now. It feels pretty good for Shogun. Do you remember when Shogun first pulled out Ziggs and we were like, man, Shogun's like one of the best team fighting ADCs, and why in the world would they put him on Ziggs? And then he like crushed on Ziggs. I think it was Artemis that he crushed on Ziggs too, and we're like, all right, never mind.
Playing this champion. I am a big Ziggs fanboy.
I love Ziggs. I love Ziggs in the bot. I don't hate the champion at all.
But I still feel like it doesn't really fulfill his potential, but let's see what he can do in team fights. Hasmid, come on, you have to land some of these ultimates. Come on, my guy.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, the only champion that drags me back to play the game is Gwen. Gwen's like the only champion I will queue up to play in normal Summoner's Rift anymore, so she's awesome. But yeah, I play her jungle mostly though. I remember she used to be really good in the jungle, but like top lane, I just don't like playing top lane because people play ranged top laners and nobody likes ranged top laners.
Or Jax.
Or Jax. Yeah, nobody likes Jax either. Yeah, there's a top lane like conundrum that's going to be popping up here because again we have Rel up here and we've got Void Grubs that are up a second time.
I think this is a smart swap because the Jax is going to put pressure on anyone, and they want the Void Grubs really to accelerate the mid game with the Ziggs, and then look at the platings in top lane as well.
Top tower, yeah. There's
Ziggs
nothing stopping him. Just take him.
He needs like one passive auto attack plus W, and the tower's probably down. Yep,
he is demolished. Yeah, there's nothing stopping him from taking that tower. Which, like, if you're Wales, you probably should have saw that coming and had to play ready for the other side of the map. But it seems like again they're playing incredibly hyper responsive rather than like trying to play proactive. So they should have been like, hey, Shogun is going to come to top lane. They will lane swap on us. They're going to want the Void Grubs. They have the Ziggs for like a 3-down tower plate tower. That was clear. I don't think there was anything dodging that. They were just slow on the reaction to that sort of play, when in reality they probably should have played to the other side, played to mid, done something somewhere else. Instead, Vikings walk away once again with Highway Robbery, up 3k, up the entire Void Grubs with a disgustingly powerful Ziggs at some point, and I don't know what you're supposed to do about it.
Yeah, and now they're back in bot lane. The Ziggs is just teleported there. This might be his death. He does a flash, though. Oh, nice dodge. It's Shogun after all. He doesn't even have to flash.
He's 4 levels on Hugh.
He's so freaking good.
Oh my goodness. That's an ultimate out from B to try to pull them in together to get more damage. That's Shogun. Should be able to clean up Hugh, but you're a little terrified of what's going to come through. Now you have
Kati's here.
Nano wants to get a little bit of something, hoping he can trade at least Shogun back. Nice ultimate is going to get him a double kill. And now Kati has to leave as well. So it is I think a 1 for 2 grand scheme of things. As Sounda is able to walk away with a second kill. And now they might even re-dive for a third because Dove is here with Sounda. That's a tough situation to find, and they're going to get Kati's flash at minimum.
That was pretty easy for Kati to outplay, but still his flash. That was a very decent result there from Team Wales. I think Shogun, on a traditional ADC, he might have been able to outplay there, but he just doesn't have the cooldowns to really retaliate against the Xin Zhao. This early in the game, an auto-attacking a melee champion that their sticking power is just really hard to get away from. Also, Hugh crucially hits level 6 here on his dying breath and gets an ultimate out that delays Shogun's escape even more. Look at this. Level 6, he gets the ultimate while he's dying, and he does hit Shogun on the tail end of the ultimate. I think Shogun could have gotten away if not for that Braum ultimate, so heroic effort from the side of the Braum. And Sounda walks away with 2 kills. Now, that's not great for the later stages of the game, but he does threaten Shogun now. If Shogun ever stays alone, overextends in the mid lane, Sounda can come in from the side, flash on him, and just execute him.
You also have a much more obvious ball delivery system because it's normally going to be Xin Zhao. It's not really going to be anybody else. But now that your ball delivery system has 3 kills, you feel a lot better about him jumping into the midst of the fight rather than just getting bullied out. It's going to be a decent start. Love the jump in from Huber there. That immediately scared off Nonaway, who has to get out of dodge as fast as possible or potentially die. For the advantage that he gained early in the game, he is down 30, now 40 CS. And honestly, if Gwen decided to stay around, Nonaway probably would have lost some more tower plates. He's going to have to burn the TP, which is ultimately, I think, a waste. And now bottom lane, Viking, I guess Dove decides to stay. Good ultimate. But
nice.
Now after the TP in from Hasmed is going to try to find Kati. I don't know what Kati's supposed to do. He has no flash. He's kind of doomed. His E is already down. Yeah, Hasmed just picks up 1. Now Guri's in a bad situation. Pay attention, Artemis, please. Turn towards... Okay, yeah, Artemis is going to be able to cut off Guri. Hugh Yeah, just fight Hugh. I mean, the best case scenario here is that Hugh is the one that gets the kill. You're going to get the stun off. Trying to give it to Dove. Dove's going to collect that one, so there's not much to be done there. As Vikings, again, on the dive, overstep. Dove's able to catch him off guard with a nice ultimate, and that could have gone much, much better. Vikings kind of fumbled the hell out of that play.
Vikings completely lost, once again, in the dive. The dives have really been their unmaking or their downfall in the series so far. Once again, way too over-aggressive, Dove. After this, you should respect him, right? He dodged all your spells. Why are you still trying to kill him? Then way too low. Hasmed comes in and instantly gets another kill for himself.
What is that E? He like used the E to kite backwards, side to side, instead of using it to go over the wall or something like that to try to dodge with Curry. I know it probably doesn't matter, but like it is one thing that I just lose a little bit. Nicely played by Hugh as well, just coming out from base and being able to get the stun, set that up for Dove so he can collect another kill. This is even in gold, even in dragons, the only thing you really got going for you on the side of Vikings, you got crazy pushing power, and you got like the double grubs, which is like, again, you leave Ziggs alone with a tower for just a little bit too long, and he's going to be able to take it. But aside from that, we're an even game state.
Yeah, this kind of game they actually lost against Gam. Now Gam, obviously, is much better than Wales, but it's a good sign for Wales. Last game at 14 minutes, Vikings was on 2 dragons and full grubs and pushing the advantage into the likes of 3-4k gold. So this is a much better early start. Now, they still have decent tools later on. They have Carty scaling up. They're going to try to dive Duff again. I'm not sure if this is the right play. Duff with a lot of wave clear.
Wow. Well layered. Decently executed. Doesn't do enough damage. Duff was able to flash out the backside of the fight. The Seraph shield is able to protect him. That's actually really good once again for Wales. Dove is able to pull so much pressure, doesn't get a summoner spell, but is able to open up topside, so Gwen is able to get a kill. And now Rift Herald in the mid lane is going to be able to help crack some of that as well. It wasn't low enough to actually get a tower, so I'm curious why they decided to go for that instead of putting it up top. But one way or another, Wales have found a way to creep back into this one.
Yeah, and I think Hasmed really showing his superiority in the top lane, especially when it comes to understanding waves and just playing the laning phase, extended laning phase. He was 1-4 down against Jax and has completely dominated him when it comes to the 1v1 matchup. Not in terms of kills, a solo kill attempt, but look at the CS discrepancy. It's still 40 CS. At 17 minutes, 40 CS? When your enemy top laner is 4-1, that is almost unheard of. He's a level ahead, almost 2 levels right now, so this Gwen performance from Hasmed, even though the stats don't look pretty, actually very impressive early on.
Yeah, and he's slowly going to be both a side lane threat, but also is incredible at team fighting. And if you think about, like, the way that the Vikings had set everything up, Gwen ends up being very valuable alongside, like, the Dot Varus, which, again, he's playing on hit, don't love it. But, again, of course, you're sitting with you've got a Rel, you've got a Sejuani, even, like, a Jax is going to be relatively tanky. So you don't really have, like, that huge bit of burst damage that you could use to chunk out to the damage dealers. But for the front line that's going to be buying them that space, they're going to get shredded through by the combination of this Varus and this Gwen. It's very, very simple for those two to try to work their way through. So the stronger that Hasmed gets, the stronger that Artemis gets, the harder the team fight is to execute at a masterclass level, because you have to be terrified of the two fronts, which is your tank shredders in those two, but then you also have this big burst damage out of the Orianna, which is delivered super easily by the very powerful Xin Zhao that's going to be hard to kill as the two members that are going to have to be outside of his bubble of protection. So honestly, like, I'm slowly coming around to the Wales composition. I didn't think they were going to be able to do it. It required Vikings making a lot of mistakes, but suddenly I'm kind of liking what they're gotten going on here.
Yeah, it's definitely looking promising. The Orianna, okay, that's huge burst on Carty. He falls instantly, but Artemis
comes in backside of the fight. We're going to see what he can do. Nanaway, just jumps out immediately. I would have thought he wanted to play a lot more aggressively there. I think he could have maybe collected, at least swept up 1 or 2 kills off the back of that TP, but the extra TP, I suppose, scared them off. And now Wales just have control of the map. Vikings can't really do much. They're going to push back out mid-wave. There's only 2 remaining here, so they have to be a little careful. That's going to be Nanaway coming back in. Stun is not going to be able to land. Now Hasmed's going to have an ult on the other side. Hasmed tries to help with Dove's ultimate, but now Hasmed gets stunned up, and that's going to be a bait. Oh, Dove. You just baited your own top laner to his own death. I thought that was going to be a cleanup of at least a kill or 2, but now Vikings still on the back foot. They lost a lot of health, lost a lot of cooldowns right there. Artemis is back with full health. Hugh's back with full health. They're going to be able to push back out mid lane. They should have control of the Dragon Pit. Well, they're at least going to be able to fight for control of the Dragon Pit, maybe. I don't know. Shogun is starting to get low on mana.
Yeah, exactly. I was just about to say the same thing. He actually bought a tier for the first time in Pro. I've seen it. I think I can never understand how pro players can play this champion without tier, because like the mana costs on the Q on a 1 second cooldown are just insane. Here we go again. Kati just caught out. It doesn't use his flash. If it is available, it looks like it's available in the replay, but we can never be sure about that. But yeah, he loses his flash. He loses his life very early on. In the end, in the grand scheme of things, Team Wales actually doesn't really walk away with too much from this pick. They picked the enemy mid laner, but they didn't get the dragon.
I think they left a lot to be desired right here. This ultimate is actually really... at first I was like, okay, Dove's going to be able to do a lot with it. There were 3 members stacked a couple of times. It feels like Dove really mispositioned that ball just to try to put it on way. Okay, we got another ultimate coming through. Sound actually has already ulted. Now that's going to be gone.
Yeah, they secured the dragon already, so that was just an escape ultimate, an exit ultimate.
I was trying to figure out whether they were leaving the river or going into the river, and I'm glad they were leaving the river because I was about to get upset if they used that going in and then lost the dragon off the back of it. But yeah, fortunately, Wales did not have that happen. Again, the only real mounting pressure here, because these teams are trading blows, trading team fights really effectively. Again, the most terrifying thing is just Ziggs being able to push down your towers because of the Void Grubs, but like they haven't really had too much of an issue dealing with that quite yet. So until that starts to mount even more, Vikings don't really have a lot of teeth to be biting with, sorry. And so this game might go to like 30-40 minutes. I feel like we're in for a long haul here.
It's a very slow affair so far, and both teams are also quite content with just scaling up, especially if you look at Kati. He's now 0-2 on the Smolder. Can't be at 225 yet with 185 CS. I don't think so. So he's going to need some more time. And look at his items, even more so than his stacks. They are far behind the curve he wants to be on. So doesn't even have his Muramana. Doesn't have anything approaching like late game status for this champion. So yeah, Vikings need to buy some more time.
See whether they're able to make that happen. Again, I'm not really worried about the Vikings' long-term prospects here. At absolute minimum, they can try to play more macro-oriented and get Ziggs into side lanes, take inner towers, sort of things like that, and kind of neutralize any sort of like gold gained through like team fighting or pickoffs or kills like that with map objectives, like standing gold that's going to be there for both teams. Do we get at 191? Okay, I saw the count. I was trying to pay attention just to make sure that we would have that. So what is he, 34 away from actually getting like the ticket? They're only up 1 dragon on the side of Wales as well, so I think Kati feels fine. 3 minutes should be more than enough for him to be able to get that upgrade done and taken care of, especially if they force it for him. So by that point, what are we? 3 item Ziggs, 2 item Smolder. Smolder should be on full items at that point. I think they're feeling good to start being able to poke into some of the neutral objective areas without taking a full-on engagement and just poking away at them with some of the range.
Yeah, and I think Vikings are starting to get annoyed with not being able to break this mid lane tower. Because they've had Ziggs in here for like 15 minutes now, and he's constantly poking away, he's clearing the waves in an instant, but he just can't get time hitting the tower. He would kill the tower so quickly. One auto attack with his passive, maybe a few grubs, and then his W to execute. If he could ever just step up to hit the tower, it would be gone in a few seconds, but he just can't risk it right now. Maybe the next wave, assisted by the Sejuani, it looks like a little bit of an opening. Hopefully they can finally break through this barrier.
Not sure. It's difficult. Again, it's been just a stone wall from Artemis for about 10 minutes sitting in this mid wave. And he doesn't even have to be lethality to make that happen. He's got a wit's end done so that he doesn't take quite as much damage from the Ziggs as the waves kind of come crashing in, and if he doesn't dodge out on skill shots and things like that. So you have that going for you. Sound is here as well to try to put some additional pressure or try to free up some of this mid lane pressure. Feels like we're inching ever closer to like an ARAM style game where we're just going to be fighting for each other's mid towers and nothing else, and neither one of them has fallen. So there is that to look forward to, I suppose, your way. But where do you go? I mean, does Wales win if they end up going to like 4 or 5 dragons? Like if you end up getting Vikings to the point where you have this fully upgraded Smolder, now 2 items, now closer probably to that 225 stack mark. Do you feel like at that point Team Wales is just out of it?
In my opinion, Wales has the advantage in 5v5 team fights. It's easier to execute their composition. They have Orianna Xinjiao. They have late game Gwen in team fights. She's already level 14, and we know how much of a menace this champion can be on just 3 items, and she's only gonna get more. So yeah, I feel like in full-on 5v5 team fights, I would give the edge to Wales. But then again, there's Smolder's Ziggs poke to just slowly but surely chip away at the enemies. Let's see how this 1-on-1 goes.
Good action. Yeah, Hausman has the ultimate popped. It's not going to be able to clean up the entirety of Nanaue, but Nanaue at least made it relatively close. I mean, it wasn't like Hausman just destroyed 90% of his health bar and was able to kill him like on a whim. That was at least a 50-50 with ultimates burnt on both sides. No ignite burnt for Hausman is one big thing about that one. So I think the Jax advantage is now long gone. No magic resistance really to speak of, and so Nanaue probably not feeling the best at side laning up against this Gwen anymore.
Yeah, no heal reduction either, so it just looks like Hausman is going to be able to drain tank his way through any confrontation between the two. Okay, Q lands on Artemis, surprisingly little damage, only about 250, 300. Yeah, we need some more poke from the side of Vikings to land, especially from Shogun. Oh, there's an engage from Sound, a little bit ill-advised. He's down to 30% HP.
Yeah. Yeah, not much health remaining. Sounded, I don't think is too worried. Again, your Xin Zhao, if you can find even a camp or just go after the dragon, should be able to heal up with relative ease. Mid lane is pushed out sufficiently. Both teams can kind of respond into the river. Both top laners up to the top side of the map both have their TP. What seems like a setup here where Wales wants the dragon, but slowly Vikings are creeping in, and this is what we were talking about. We want this poke. Dove takes half the health bar, is gone. No ultimate from Ziggs anymore, as that Mega Inferno Bomb has been burnt now. Nanaue getting into another engagement. We were just talking about how he didn't kill him. Well, that time, without the ability to ult, or with the ability to ult, you're going to go down. TP's on both sides. It's going to be difficult to respond.
Oh, the steal!
Rolling away Dragon. Now the fight afterwards, can you actually get anything? Artemis can't really step up. So Guri in a pretty rough position, but now Kadi wants to find people on the backside of this one. Guri, Kadi's going to be able to respond to Sound, as we knew that was maybe going to be the case. B wants to try to maybe turn. Nanaue is going to be here. It's going to be a cleanup from Nanaue to be able to get one now. Big ultimate from B, trying to help out Artemis, but Artemis is just too strong, but he doesn't want to go any more forward. It's a lot of members.
Going? Oh, if they delay Husmid's death, they could go into Baron. This is a huge point in the game. If they can find Husmid and just delay his death a little bit, chase him around the map, they might be able to go into Baron afterwards. Nanaue has found him.
Okay.
And he's going to be able to kill him as well, I believe. Husmid not quite healthy enough to fight back, or is he?
Okay, we're getting a lot, but it's not going to be too much. Like you said, hunting him down, doing well. The one fear there was that like Vikings were actually quite low across the board. Nanaue was basically the only member capable of fighting. This was a very sloppy fight. Sounda went down like relatively easily. Guri was able to grab the dragon. That was kind of the priority from the Vikings, and then they wanted to walk out. You can see Shogun and Kadi really weren't in position. Artemis also was out the back of this fight most of the time as well. So again, the carries aren't really interacting with each other. It's more or less kind of fighting frontliners, and you can see what that meant, because B got destroyed by Artemis here. Look at this, he's just gone. Shogun can't really follow up. There's not really much else elsewhere. Even Nanaue, I don't think would live that. But again, if the carries aren't interacting with each other, I think Vikings just win that because they've got more poke.
Sounder's coming though. Sounder wants to contest this Baron.
Yeah.
He does hit the W, but it's too late.
Yeah, can't do anything about it. Now Kadi's in a little bit of danger. Great ultimate from Dove. They're gonna find Kadi. That's at least one. So get something for their troubles, but of course Vikings now with a Baron buff, with a Ziggs, and with Void Grubs. I mean, how are you supposed to do anything? Feels like Wales might even want to just force a fight here as fast as possible, because you don't want to give them the pushing power. You don't want to give them the ability to fight back in any capacity.
Pushing into the Baron and Shogun's Ziggs is not easy, but Shogun once again low on mana, spamming and clearing all those waves. It does cost quite a bit of mana, but the blue buff has spawned, so global blue buff is going to help him. He's done 3.5 items now. He's quite strong. He's going to cause some trouble for Sounder, trying to engage through his minefield, and he's probably going to lose about 30%, 40% HP just going through that one spell. This is really nicely done. Great turn. And perfect ultimate from Guri. No way. Sounder could have tried to flash, honestly. He could have flashed Eat onto the Baron and tried to steal. But that's a big commitment. If it doesn't work out, then you lose your flash and probably your life. So, understandable. I think I would have still liked to see it, though.
And we now have Vikings game plan yet again. And they have not.
Now they've Baron. Now
now they want the pushing time. Now they're going to walk in and they're going to. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Okay. Nanaue in a weird situation. Going to get pulled in by Dove. Now Hosmed going to try to clean up this one. Let's see if they can actually get him before he turns one back. He almost does, but Dove is not going to die instead. Hosmed's going to be able to pull that kill. So they do relieve a little bit of the pressure that was starting to mount on the bottom side of the map. The mid lane they already knew was going to get pushed down. There's nothing they can do to stop that one. So they trade that mid lane tower for the life of Nanoe. Now no side lane pressure to worry about. And that should probably spell the end of the Baron, if I had to guess.
A little bit of a strange build here for Nanoe, opting to go for a little bit more teamfight focus, I'd say, with the Frozen Heart. I would have liked to see a little bit of sustain, because I think he can win these 1v1s against an auto-attack focus champ like Gwen, if he's able to sustain a little bit more. So I would have liked to see... I mean, he does have the, whatever it's called, Sundering Sky, which does give him a little bit of sustain, but I think I would have still liked to see... I don't know, Death Dance or something akin to that, to get a little bit more HP back, to make him stronger in the 1v1 matchup. Now he's very much focused on diving into the backline, trying to get on top of Artemis, and cutting away at his attack speed there. So yeah, more of a team fighting Jax, so he's probably going to go into more HP to become a pseudo-tank later on in the game.
Yeah. And now, I mean, game's broken up in quite a bit more for the Vikings, so looking quite a bit better. A lot of this advantage, if I had to guess, is actually sitting in Shogun's pockets, because Shogun is about an entire item ahead of Artemis, and they're up about 4,000 gold. So I'd say like 2,000, maybe 2,500 of that is probably just Shogun on his lonesome. So you have to consider that. We haven't really seen Sounda connect very well with Dove. Dove has had a really bad tendency, or maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, I don't know. He's had a tendency this game to basically just find single members of the side of Vikings and ult them so that they can try to get a pick-off instead of saving it for big moments inside of teamfights. And I still feel like the best way to try to challenge the positioning of Shogun and even Kadi is going to be with that kind of strategy. Hugh going to try to bounce away. They're not going to have enough damage to be able to come back in. TP's in from both sides. Ultimate comes through from Hugh to try to deny any additional access. Now Hosmet on the front line. Good ultimate from Dove down by B, but he only gets the one. And now big ultimate from Hosmet's going to tag a ton of members of this one, but he's going to go down to the damage from Kadi, who you can't really do much about that one. Now Sounda on the front line trying to help out as well. Ultimate's going to wear off.
Where did it come from? The game just exploded out of nowhere, Rebel. I don't know. I'm completely lost for words. Why? Why does...
I guess it was a team fight that got forced by Wales. I think they were trying to defend the dragon. I don't really know what just happened.
Yeah, we need to replay here to actually understand what was happening.
I would love to see what happened. Okay, Shogun's just going to crack another tower. I mean, you can't do anything when there's no one on the map. That's the thing. You can't be taking fights like this. Now Sounda wants more. He's going to take this challenge.
Doesn't get any damage.
That's going to be B coming through here. Good ultimate coming through from Shogun to help support his team. Now Nanoe, you're not doing damage because he's just dodging the entire time, and there's nothing you can do. Now Kadi's picked up like 4 kills in the last few minutes, and just like that, suddenly the Smolder is going to get way more powerful. That just ruined the game.
Yeah, honestly, the game was just lost in that one sequence. Why? So B shows himself, so they are perfectly aware that the enemy team is here. They know they just cleared your vision, so they're probably there with a few people. And I guess Wales just thought they had the means to fight them here. I mean, to be honest, Vikings starts off burning everything into Hugh's shield, and it does look a little bit dicey, but this kind of terrain is just not for them to fight. Yeah, this is just way too over-aggressive. Hosmet goes in alone. He's not tanky enough to do this. And Kati, look at how comfortable he is from the other side. In the meantime, he just turns to the dragon and starts fighting the dragon, because why not? So this was a huge, huge misread of the situation. They had no way of actually winning in that tight spot there. And now the game seems pretty much out of control.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
What was painful about that situation, it felt like there was a 3-man Orianna ultimate that just got left on the board. It was like Dove was like a second too late pulling the trigger on trying to figure out whether they were fighting or not, and as a result, it went from like a 3-person ultimate that could have been followed up on by Gwen and all the AoE from her ultimate and her Q, to it tagged B, and like that was it. And so it's... it was sickening to me. I don't know whether it was a call problem, a communication problem. I don't know whether it was just a little bit too slow on Dove's part, but that was like the exact reason you draft an Orianna, is you draft for moments like that where you hit 3 members and compound extra damage on top of them. Because like you had said, it was a winning situation for Whale. They just burnt everything they had into a shield from Hugh, and if they lose 3 members, the game completely shifts state. I mean, it's completely Wales favored from that point on. But again, one missed
opportunity. Time. Oh no, that's low HP already.
Coming in, blocked by Huber. B into the backline as well, going to pull Huber. Huber is going to die. Now B's actually super low. Nanoe diving into the backline to try to get the damage dealers here from the side of Team Wales. Hosmet is able to get at least 1 back. So it's a trade, but Sounder goes back in, I'm not sure why, and just like that, the game is all but over. You'll wait 3 more kills. Kadi has finally scaled it. He's getting way too powerful in the Smolder to deal with.
Yeah, and it took such a long time. This game actually looked like they finally stopped Carty's AD carry prowess. They finally put him down. He was way behind his item curve, and suddenly he gets 7 kills in the matter of like 3 or 4 minutes. And yeah, he's fully late game Smolder. I think he's close to 400 stacks now. So this almost seems insurmountable for Team Wales, but they have to find a way. They're already down a game. They've lost the last 4 games against Vikings. They need to win this one for their morale at least. I mean, they still have a chance to reverse sweep, but if you're 5 games down against the enemy team, I'm not sure how much you can do to come back.
Yeah, it would be something else. It would be like a Herculean task to try to get past Vikings at this point if you're Wales. It feels like also the thing that's going to destroy you isn't even the fact that it was 5 games. It was that you had the best chance that I have seen in any of these games to try to actually turn this one around. You saw this started off with Dove kind of getting stopped. And Huber's been playing really good Braum. Like, Braum has turned off angles for entire teams. That he soaks so much damage. Soundo's on the front line. He's with Hosmed. Hosmed, unfortunately, is just in the face of the 2 damage dealers. The other side, Nonaway actually played really well. He shoved Dove and Artemis out of the fight. And again, that's all of your damage. If they can't step forward because of the diving jacks, what are you supposed to do? Like, how do you actually win a game? You can't be done.
Yeah, they're trying to do the same thing, right? Nanahuer and Hosmed, both just diving on top of the enemy AD carries, but the problem is Hosmed has an E. So, not Nanahuer can just press E, and for 2 seconds, Artemis can't damage him, while Hosmed just can't do the same. He can't buy enough time for the team to win the other side of the map. I'm a little bit confused as to why he didn't go for Zhonya's in this game if he wants to play this aggressively. I think Zhonya's is a must-buy. It's too late now, and they have to find a way to somehow find the angle to win this game.
Nonaway looking for something. Great ultimate from Hugh is going to stop him in his tracks. Only gets the 1 stun. Great E from Huber as well, and Nonaway's probably going to die. Does he get anything? No. Now Artemis has to step up into the pocket to be able to do damage. Has to get past the Ziggs bombs. They're not going to, as the team fight's going to fall away. Hubert, that was an MVP performance fight from him. I know it's not going to mean much in the grand scheme of things. They're still down 10,000 gold. He was a king in that fight.
Yeah, and Mom has not gotten a single bit of ultimate damage onto anyone because Hugh just has a shield up every single time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
look at this again, but I want to talk about the end of the fight because this is almost the perfect scenario. They stop Nanoway in his tracks. Perfect timing there from Hugh. He denies everything.
Right live. Okay, they're looking for Dragon. Fine. They're going to get shoved out. Kadi is pushed out the top side of the fight. Guri.
Did Artemis, they go too far? They went too far. No.
Yeah, might have gone just a little bit too far. Grid ultimate from Artemis. Gonna be able to find a ton of damage onto Guri. Actually feeling great about that one. Going into the back line, tries to find Gotti, but he's gonna be in Zonia's. And Kadi has to flash just to avoid the arrow, but is gonna get him away. Now they're hoping to get
alive again. He's walking down.
The dragon. That's all we need here. No! They smote, and it went down to 9 health. Oh, you'll away. Oh, it feels so bad.
Well, you can't blame them for not trying. They are trying their damnedest. They really try to get back into this game here, but this is probably the final nail in the coffin. This is now so much extra HP to work with, especially for the likes of Sejuani and Jax. We're just going to be that much more tanky now in the backline.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're already streaming down the lanes, and they're trying to get into the enemy base. And remember, they have Ziggs, so 2 seconds of time hitting the tower, and the tower is going to be gone. But Shogun is a little low, so for now, the push is halted.
Yeah, not to mention, you still have this massive problem. Artemis is actually an animal in this game. He's so ridiculously strong. He just cannot step up in any circumstance at all. And as a result, these fights feel so ridiculously one-sided. When Artemis can hit targets, the fights are even, and it feels fine. But there's the issue that's set up in this is Wales in every single team fight. It feels like Dove's ultimate is not getting anything done. There's never been an ultimate I've seen from Dove in this game that has actually accomplished something that they wanted to, when really they just need to put the ball on Sounda or Gwen, get him into the back line, get him on top of Kadi or Shogun, and then press the ultimate. And if they can do that, I would expect them to be able to full burst one of those characters before, anything else happens, but we haven't seen it, I think, even a single time in this game. And as a result, I mean, what are you supposed to do if you're Artemis or, anybody else as a damage dealer? Because everybody's getting shredded. If Kadi's just able to free fire in you, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, and one of the biggest... Oh, no time for that. Sounder once again on the engaged path, on the war path, but it seems like...
Okay. Maybe something. No, okay. Ultimate from Sejuani, gonna stop another, but Huber again with this big door. She's able to do quite a bit here. You can actually shred Guri. Stun is available. They are gonna stun him, but it's not gonna mean anything. Somebody's gonna go back in the history books and look back on this game as like one of the goated Braum performances of all time.
Once again, he's
playing his ass off to keep these people alive.
Yeah, he's not very successful, unfortunately. 19 kills for Vikings. And I wanted to go back to the Varus point, because the Varus deals insane damage, and usually Varus is really, really good at killing tanks. Unfortunately, the enemy team has the one champion that can just turn off his damage output for 2.5 seconds. But now he also has the Zhonya's, or at least the Arm Guard, so he can just go into stasis, wait for his E to come back up, and do it again. Now he's caught, though.
Nanaway. Can't get the stun off onto the right target. Now Nanaway is going to just be dead. B is now the target of Artemis. He's going to be able to clean up another. Has to not go through the mines here. You're terrified. Great ultimate from Artemis to be able to stop up Guri. Now Guri has to flash away and make sure he doesn't get stunned up. Great play from Sounder to try to disrupt the damage so that Artemis gets a little bit more time trying to play up against Guri. I don't think No! Oh, they tried. They really did. That was the first fight I thought they might have had even a slight chance because Artemis could hit people, but unfortunately, Kadi has scaled to oblivion. And just like that, 40 minutes, Yolway. 40 minutes. We would have expected the whole series to be done by now, but Vikings do end up getting it done.
It's definitely a big step up for Vikings, for Wales, I should say. The first time they made it past 40 minutes against Vikings and players, they still walk away as the losers here, and they're now facing elimination. They are one game away from being eliminated from players, obviously, and once again falling 0-3 to the likes of Vikings, but still a great performance. I think we definitely have to go back to the draft because it was so different, and let's call in our Italian analyst and see what the PhD makes of this game. So, you predicted Wales. I think you have to justify yourself, Clockwork.
Okay, so in this case, PhD stands for pretty huge disappointment because, right until the mid game, Wales was doing very well, right? But then they slowed down at some point. They stopped. Like, even if they had a composition that allowed them to look for team fights, look for picks even, just, take one kill, go to an objective, they never did that. They were never ever been able to snowball any of the small leads that they got. And then at some point, it was too late because you're playing against the Jacks, you're playing against the Smolder. They are going to scale better than you. And even if you have a proper composition that works very well for what you want to do, if you're not pushing your advantage, nothing's going to come out of it. Yes, they dragged it on for way longer than any of their previous matches, but you can't drag it on against a dragon.
I don't even know how to deal with this anymore, but yeah, well played. Let's look at the damage set. This champion is a little ridiculous.
How about Gwen in this game, though?
Yep, 44k. I mean, she was in most of the fights. She was the only one actually dealing damage because everyone else was just running away.
Insanely true.
This is the weirdest MVP pick.
We're giving MVP to Nanaway? Is that true?
Yeah, I have no idea. He actually played quite bad for his early lead, I believe. So, I don't agree with this one.
I think the idea is that, if you look at this game from top to bottom, the main threat and the thing that really prevented Wales from getting their feet set and fighting against the front line, against the Sejuani and the Rel, was Jax jumping on top of Artemis every single fight, which is just true. And why did he do that? Because there was no threat of Dove ever hitting an ultimate. I'm so critical of Dove this game, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of it. The Orianna ultimates were killing me over this. I swear the multiple times I saw 3-4 person ultimates that just went completely to waste. But I will give Nanaway his presence. I don't know that he deserved an MVP for it, because I think it was more a byproduct of the champion. But the fact that he was able to keep Artemis from touching anyone over the course of fights, and then Smolder could just rip through Xin Zhao, rip through Gwen, rip through anybody who's there, it's what got him his snowball going in the first place. The first 7 kills were basically just on the premise of there's 2 melee champions on both sides meeting, but Artemis can't step up to do damage, but Smolder can't. So Smolder just gets all the kills and wins. So I don't know.
I want to come back to your Dove point and throw it over to Clockwork because you talked about him a lot as well. And yeah, we've seen now 2 games. The first game he played in ADC, it didn't really go his way. Now he went back to one of his more comfortable champions, one of the champions he's known for, one of his control mages. But obviously, Orianna is not really. I mean, she's on the fringes of the meta, maybe, but not really a hugely played champion across the globe. And she didn't look. He didn't look great on her. So, Clockwork game number 3. Your Team Wales coach. You have to wake up the sleeping giants. And what exactly are you going to pick for your mid laner who's struggling in the series?
Right. I would go for something that is very easy to execute. Okay. Rebel suggested earlier the something like the LeBlanc and something like that. I would go for something even easier because here it was very clear that there was some element missing of coordination. Dove did not really cooperate with his teammates in order to ult, even if it was really easy with Sanda. He has one teammate, at least one teammate that he shares a language with, and it was very easy to set up an ultimate combo with the Xin Zhao, but it never happened. So take something even easier or something that can play at least on his own to some extent. I'm thinking about a Yone. If they really want to dip their toes into the actual meta and go with a with AP jungler, or if you really are determined to stick with the mages, take something that can hold a sideline. I don't know. I'm thinking about Syndra's. I'm thinking about stuff like even the Karma that Wales have already played that they can flex them. Like something independent that has very low execution threshold.
Yep. Let's see what they can do with the next game because there's still 1 game left at least in Wales. Hopefully a few more for us. But they are on elimination point, and we are going to take a short break to see if Wales can cook up anything in game number 3 to fight back against the Vikings.